boss.
Good morning, sir.
Dennis, what's happening? How are you? How's been a day so far?
I'm doing great by the grace of God.
Great.
Nice way to start my day.
Okay. So, Afro Beverages. What? Give me a background of Afro Beverages.
Okay, so Afro Beverages is your culturally significant and culturally heritage group of brands. And so it began with a group of friends coming together and actually thinking outside the box and asking the relevant questions and saying, what is it that we can do to be able to make sure that there's a drink that represents our African heritage? And so just like tequila is to Mexico and vodka is to Russia, we needed something that would represent Africa. And so this group of friends came together and used our own aperitif, what we call aperitif, triple distilled, and then gave it a premium look so that it could represent Africa as a continent, so that when you come to Africa, you don't come and do your usual Ciroc or your usual Hennessy, but there's a drink that actually represents Africa, and that's Afro.
Oh, so it started with that one product.
Yeah.
Interesting. Others have been added?
Yes.
Okay.
So currently we have the Afro Nubi, which has a hint of pineapple and then honey as well. Then we have the Afro More, which has ginger, honey, and xylophia. We also have the Afro Kush, which is a clear variant, and which has mint and then vanilla. And then we have other ready to drink Afro Chill, Passion.
When you said triple distilled, it means what?
So you know the process that you take to get aperitif.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually just one time distilled, right? And that's how it has a lot of impurities. And when you drink it, you have a lot of odor coming out from your mouth and all of that. So the triple distilled actually makes it smoother, makes it finer, and takes out all of those impurities and the odor from it, so that it makes it very consumable.
Oh wow, that's what it means. Triple. One
single
two,
distill,
and then 3.
Yeah, and so the more the better. And so you can have about 100 liters of aperitif, but once you triple distilled, you can go as low as just 20 liters. That shows you the level of
what you've extracted from it.
Exactly.
And does it change the percentage thingy?
It actually makes it stronger. Because because you've taken because you've taken the impurities out, it actually makes it stronger.
What is the alcoholic percentage in aperitif, the raw one?
So raw one, you are watching or you are looking between 20 to 30%. But when you distill it, you can go as high as 40%.
What is vodka's percentage? The average vodka will look like
20 to 40.
So ours is heavier than vodka.
Yeah, of course.
Interesting. Is it true that some years back they used nails for appeal? Have you heard that rumor?
Those are myths.
They are myths, right?
Yeah. They are myths that surround the beverage industry. But of course, I won't outrightly
dismiss it.
Exactly. Because Ghanaians are very wonderful people.
Yeah, because I grew up with that thing in my head that
you have no idea
they can use nails. Nails.
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly. Recently, I heard people put snakes in drinks to make bitters and also.
Yeah, but I've seen bottles with those snakes in it and all that.
Ghanaians are wonderful people.
And we drink these things. Anyway, so Afro Spirit from Afro Beverages. So why did these friends decide that of all the industries they can go into, they could have gone into oil and gas, they could have gone into any industry, they decided that they were going to go into beverages?
The interesting thing is these friends were actually in the energy sector already.
And wow.
They had worked with multinationals and they travel around the world, and they have friends who come to Ghana and they are drinking the same things that they would drink when they are in Europe or when they are in America. So that interest brought about why they wouldn't come together to form a drink that actually represents Africa. Yeah.
So what is the main ingredient in
so for the Nubi, which is our best-selling, the main ingredient is the palm spirit, the aperitif. And then we have the pineapple, which we use the raw juice itself. And then we have honey. And then we have...
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's a mixture?
Yes, and we blend it all together.
Also, when you're
And then
drinking, you're
passion fruit.
tasting
You can feel
fruits and all.
right from opening the bottle. You can feel how organic it is because all the juices are raw juice that we use in producing.
Is it expensive to produce in Ghana?
For now, I would say what makes it expensive is the sourcing of raw materials, especially when
People stop produce up you.
not necessarily. We don't really have the capacity. That's the interesting thing. You wouldn't have a farmer having available 30 barrels of appetizer sitting down for you to buy. You might think it's very easy to find appeal, but once you go out to source, you realize that people actually do not have the capacity to produce.
It's true. I've been told.
Yeah.
I've been told that the big players actually build ethanol farms,
Yeah.
and they have ethanol tanks dug down, and,
Yeah.
and it's
And
ethanol,
just
and
keep
it's
it,
ethanol. But that's not what you're using.
No.
You want to go the raw.
We buy from the farmers. We support farmers to grow farms, and then we buy the raw appetizer and then triple distilled.
That'll be expensive.
That
That would make it
is.
more expensive than the guy importing
Exactly,
ethanol.
Exactly. Because what even makes it more expensive is the triple distillation. It means that you're going to use more fuel in your distillation. Apart from that, you're actually going to lose the quantity
Yeah.
that you bought, almost about 50%, and that really makes it expensive to produce.
Are you doing well on the local market?
Yes, I won't lie. We've been we are in business for 4 years. We've been in business for 4 years, and the feedback has been great.
Yeah, I like your branding.
Yeah, the feedback has been great, especially from people who think that this is something that represents Ghana and something that it is indigenous. We've branded appetizer in a way. Oh, it's just low class, So this is what
Blue Kiosk.
exactly, putting it into a premium bottle and making it. One of our biggest inspiration has been how the diaspora has actually received the drink, and it's very amazing. And we are currently #1 selling in duty free Ghana. That tells you how impactful the brand has been.
That's what we're talking about. I mean, this morning we're talking about value addition, we're talking cocoa and all that. So for us here, it's exciting when we find local business people adding value to Ghanaian raw materials and then turning them into something that the world appreciates. So for us, it's a big congratulations from us to you,
Thank you.
for what you're doing. So since you've been in this beverage industry, what have you seen as being the challenges within the industry, the beverage industry, totally in its totality?
First of all, if you are producing in Ghana, like I've already stated, one of your biggest challenges would be sourcing of raw materials, because you realize that you meet people and people talk, and then when it's time to deliver, they actually do not have the capacity, and then now you have to source from different. And you would agree with me that once you are sourcing organic things, the moment you are sourcing from different farms, you're not obviously going to have the same, and so it makes it a bit difficult. The other thing is that you also have a problem with sort of regulation, where our regulations are not properly streamlined, and so you are almost likely to be caught off guard if you don't have a proper quality assurance a team on standby. Is a big challenge that we really have to look at. Of course, we have our FDA, we have our GSA and all that, but these regulatory agencies need to be properly streamlined so that it makes it easier for anybody who wants to enter the beverage industry to be able to know where to go from where to register, what to do yearly, and all the licenses and certificates to be able to gather.
In terms of sourcing of raw materials, have you been tempted to look outside Ghana before? Has the frustration ever caused you to say, okay, can we go look for appeal from Cote d'Ivoire or Togo or something?
You know the interesting thing, the appetizer is something that's actually unique to the
West Africa.
West African.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm asking.
So you go to Togo, it's called Sodabi. You go to Benin, it's called Sodabi. You go to Nigeria, it's called Ogoku and all that. So going for there's something that we're actually going to do on a very larger scale. Actually get these raw materials from neighboring countries and then actually produce here in Ghana.
Yeah, because I should expect that we're not too different from them. So
of course,
definitely the name. So that then becomes a way out of the challenges. But this also comes to the same point that we say there are no jobs, but we have people who are looking for raw materials and they are forced to go outside. And for me, that is always a big thing, a big conversation I like to have here. That you can't say you have no jobs when people are looking for stuff they can't find it. They have to go to Togo, Benin, and all that. Then when it comes to regulations, I think recently FDA and GSA came together and said they were streamlining both. Where is the frustration when it comes to the regulation?
So, for FDA and GSA to come together to tell you they're actually coming to streamline things, actually tells you the problem that there is.
Definitely.
FDA has got its own standards as to how you get approval for your label or whatever to be approved. GSA also has got its own standards. And so sometimes you're actually torn in between following these regulations, you actually get your certificate to actually. And so it is very necessary for these regulatory bodies to come together and have a synchronized system where everybody would follow the same rule. We can't act sacrosanct of each other, and then now it is the industry players who would be, the grass will be suffering whilst the elephants are fighting. That is why I think it is very necessary for them to come together so that the regulations are streamlined, make it easier for anybody who really wants to enter or actually wants to expand their business in the beverage industry to actually have a good business.
So what would you say are the key drivers of growth in the beverage industry, and how have these drivers evolved over the years?
So I would speak for the alcoholic beverage industry. So currently there's a heavy nightlife culture in Ghana. I don't know if you have paid attention.
Yeah, I have. I mean, Monday morning I'm coming to work and
people are in
part
garage
of
or
they've blocked me and things. Last time I was like, but you guys, they sleep or what?
There's a heavy nightlife culture which is instigating a drinking culture, and so it makes it advantageous for anybody who's in the beverage industry, because once you make people experience your brand and they're able to really associate with your brand, it makes them easy to go out and say, oh, give me a bottle of Afro, and go to Ali and say, oh, give me a shot of Afro, a glass of Afro. It makes it easier. So it is something that is actually driving, sales and boosting, morale for you to actually produce more.
Wow.
The other thing is that there's a very heavy youth demographic now.
Okay.
I think the youth constitutes about 70%, if I'm not wrong. And so you have a lot of young people who are ready to try new things and want to be involved in, trying new alcoholic brands or new beverage brands. And so people will obviously want to, as it were, be engaged in the beverage industry. The other thing is that, people are becoming more health conscious.
Yeah.
That's how come now you see a lot of beverages with the nutritional table. And so they give you the information that when you take one bottle of this brand, you have this vitamin in this amount and all that. So it's something that is driving. You can see the influx of new ready to drink, health on the go beverages like some teas, iced tea, and all of that in the Ghanaian beverage industry, where people easily want to on the go get something and drink, but also want it to be very nutritional.
Wow. So we're looking at the demographics, the nightlife, and then the health consciousness, which is then shaping the alcoholic beverage market, as it were. I was going to ask about export opportunities. I still would ask, but how did you get published in HBR? Because I'm a big fan of HBS case studies. How did you get in there?
It tells you the amount of work that has actually gone.
I should think so. I should definitely think so.
It tells you the amount of work that has gone.
How did you get published at the Harvard Business School?
So we got an invitation from a researcher from the Harvard Business School who was interested in the Afro story and wanted to know how the whole story came about. And so, of course, we were more than open.
You would welcome him with open arms. Because the publicity alone.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow.
Good. It tells you the interest, especially from the diaspora, from people from the diaspora. It has been amazing. It has been really amazing.
I can just imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, so what, they invited you people over, or he came down here?
No. So she came down here and then interviewed the relevant people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Afro Beverages.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I mean, have you begin looking export-wise over the past 4 years?
Our biggest focus has even been export, because you would agree with me that Ghana is a very small market.
Of course.
Probably, let's say, compared to Nigeria, compared to Cote d'Ivoire, even in terms of drinking culture, even the
we don't drink much.
Exactly. Francophone
Africa drink more than us.
Francophone Africa has a very interesting drinking style and drinking.
I'm told. I mean,
and so currently we are in Ivory Coast, we are in Cameroon, we are in Kenya, we are making way to get into South Africa, we are in Nigeria, and then we are also in the US, one of our very promising countries. We are in the UK, very promising, and so we are looking forward to get into as many countries as possible, because day in, day out, there's interest. People are showing interest in exporting. People are showing interest in becoming partners. And we are always open, because this is what we always dreamt of. This is what we envisioned, that this would be what will represent Africa. Mind you, we have a lot of tequila brands in Ghana, and sometimes you can't even vouch whether I was actually from Mexico, or you can't even vouch for the authenticity of it. But now we have something that is representing Africa. We call it heritage in a bottle. So this is representing your African heritage everywhere you go. That's why it's very easy for people to even buy it as souvenirs when they come to Africa and they are traveling back, and give it to their friends to actually taste it, to actually have a feel of Africa.
A feel of Africa. 10 minutes past 9. It is the big roundtable conversation on the Business Breakfast on Z. His name is Dennis Atukwefio. He's with Afro Beverages. We're having a good conversation about this whole industry. How does a young Ghanaian indigenous business survive going international? What are the challenges? How have you scaled these challenges to be where you are?
I think going international goes beyond just having a good drink. Of course, there are many good drinks out there.
Yeah.
And so it shows you the amount of work and amount of preparation that has gone into actually getting these drinks international. So for most of our international satellite distributors, we have people that we have partnered, people who probably are already distributors, or people whose first trial distribution is at the Afro drink.
Okay.
And so you actually get a lot of people being interested at the duty-free shops who would want to export. And so it is just the interest. And we have
which is driving.
Exactly. Very nice packaging, very good drink, and a very good story around the drink, because it's something that is representing probably where you come from or your Ghanaian heritage. And so you would like to share it to wherever you want to go. So
you're saying if the product is good enough, the market itself will pick it and run with it.
Just like they say, Arene Pankasa. So,
you
actually get people being interested in the drink because of its uniqueness, and that is what I see lacking currently in our beverage industry. You see a lot of coolers, cola. We are not being innovative enough.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of coolers. There's one at the airport traffic light. There's a big billboard with one cooler there like that.
We are not being innovative enough.
It's true.
Once you are innovative, I'm sure you get people liking your drink, because prior to Afro, I'm sure Apeteshi is not something that is new to
no.
It has been there. You remember it was even banned at a point when the Europeans came and wanted to introduce their schnapps and all of that. So it has been around. So it is the innovation of infusing it with other local products to actually make it very interesting.
Yeah, the pineapple bit is something that I never.
Exactly.
So listeners, that's lesson one. Make the product good enough, the market will run with it, and then as it's going, you sort out all your channels of distribution. Make the product good enough, make it innovative enough. It could be an average product, but you can add innovation and take it to the next level. Whose idea was it to say, let's not just package raw akpetish. Let's triple distill it. Let's make it finer, and then let's add honey and pineapple.
Great. So, like I keep saying,
because how many friends came together to do this?
About 5 or 4.
And how many food scientists were in this 5 or 4?
None of them.
How many chemical guys were in it? How many
None of them.
Biochemistry guys were there?
So all of these people, I would say, were green to the beverage industry. They hadn't tried anything beverage.
Their only experience is like they drink it.
Exactly.
That's all they had experience.
Exactly. And so they just came together. It actually took about 2 years to actually develop the drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of work went in there.
Exactly. And it was just try and error, getting people from University of Ghana to actually even helping. People have spent a lot of time in trying to develop this drink. And of
in
course,
those 2 years, they were still working 8 to 5 elsewhere.
Yes. They were still doing their normal job. Some of them were consultants and some of them owned boutique hotels and all of that, but still had time to be able to try their hands on getting it.
It means they had to believe in it.
They just had a passion and they believed in it. That it was something that would work, and it's actually working.
Patience. Listeners, patience. Trust in the product. Be patient enough. Don't rush it into the market. Work it, and work it, and it will work. That's what Dennis is telling us. How is the shift towards healthier and more functional beverages affecting product development in Ghana?
So now, what that thing is doing to the current beverage industry is that in the beginning, you wouldn't have had people buying drinks and actually looking at the nutritional content or looking at the ingredients. But there's a more informed audience now who are paying attention to everything. That's how come people are very aware of expiry dates. It wasn't so in the beginning. In the beginning, you have FDA actually cautioning that this product is expired, but now it's actually the consumers who actually go to report to FDA and report that this product is. So you have a very informed audience who want to live a certain kind of lifestyle, a more healthier lifestyle. And so for us, one of the things that we really wanted to promote was using organic products. And so we try as much as possible to limit the use of flavors. And and so for the pineapple, we are buying pineapple juice from farms in Cape Coast, from farms in the Eastern region, from farms in Ekonfi and all of that. So we try as much as possible to have a healthy side to even your drinking. And so one of the things that we get as feedback, and we have also realized that you don't even get a hangover if you drink Afro, because the products are organic. Compared to if you are using flavors, you get a hangover after. And so people are more health conscious now, and so it is actually shifting the beverage industry to create more healthier alternatives. That's why you're having drinks with less sugar, and people are promoting a more organic, drink culture and all of that. So people are more informed now.
But that also means you are having to go down to the field to deal with these farmers, because you are sourcing raw materials from them straight away from the farm gate, as it were, and you're bringing it to. How difficult was it to set up the factory?
So we actually do not have a factory.
Okay.
We don't have a brick and mortar factory. We produce with Georg.
Okay. Yes. So listeners, another lesson is coming up. He's going to give us another lesson.
So we produce.
You don't necessarily have to invest heavy money into a brick and mortar factory.
Because what's the point? Whatever you want to do,
China.
somebody's already doing it. And so you just have to be innovative, like I said earlier. The only thing, however, that we do is to source our own raw materials. We have a group of quality assurance experts combined with what Georg has already provided. And then we blend together. So we source all our raw materials directly from the farmers. And our last census or calculation that we did, we actually, just from the farm alone, we are creating over 500 jobs for farmers, for palm spirit, for pineapple, for passion fruit, for xylophia, for ginger, for honey. Over 500 jobs. across all of these crops that are being produced. And so we do not necessarily have a factory. We bring our stuff into Georg, we distill with Georg, we blend with Georg, we bottle, and then we are good to go.
So you have Afro Beverages staff within Georg to help do your bit.
Exactly.
They are not staff of Georg.
No.
They're just there to ensure that they are doing things the Afro Beverages way.
Exactly, because we have our manual on how to produce the drink. And so anytime we want to do production, we go into Georg with our manual, with our quality assurance standards and all of that. We have our people on ground who are in every step of the way directing on what to do, what not to do, and all of that.
Wow. How big is Afro Beverages in terms of staff strength?
So we have a current direct staff strength of about 30. But indirectly,
that's a lot.
But indirectly, our salespeople and all of that, we are looking at well over 50 people.
Yeah, but that's a big operation. That is not small. 30 people is quite impressive. And so the advice here is look for partnerships if you want to start something. Then when you get a partnership, don't go sleeping and assume that they will do things your way. It is important that you police the process so that your brand still stays, because it's your brand that is going to come out of this. What is the arrangement like? Don't give us figures, but what is the arrangement like? You pay them per production, or you
yes.
have okay?
Yes, exactly. And so we pay them for using their facilities.
Okay.
And also their say technical know-how.
Yeah. So and this is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Because meaning that there won't be any downtimes for their machinery.
Because you have a facility like Georg, which, in my opinion, it is even underutilized.
Exactly.
And so they need private people to actually come and help in using the facilities to actually get it running. So that's it.
Wow. Interesting. Learn. That's what we're here to do. And like I keep saying, with Z, you have the last word. So tell them you heard it on Z, and then that is it. How is the rise of premium products influencing the beverage sector in Ghana, particularly in the non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages? Premium products.
So you
and I agree it's a premium product.
Of course.
So the question is directly to you. Yours is 100%. Only premium products get Harvard Business case study.
Not at all. So you see that there's a growing interest in I wouldn't say the middle class, in the young Ghanaian wanting to associate with a certain level of quality.
Okay.
And you would agree with me that in as much as quality should not be expensive, quality comes at a cost.
Exactly.
And so if you look at even our bottling and the process and the quality assurance processes that we go through to be able to get a bottle on your table at the bar or on the shelf on a ShopRite or on a Melcom, it is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And quality comes with a lot of investment. And so if you want to be associated with that level of premium and that level of social class and all of that, you actually probably might have to pay more, because it takes a lot of work to be able to get that quality onto your table.
Wow. You've segued this conversation to another angle I want to look at. The marketing of it. You had to be deliberate about your marketing to get your brand recognized internationally. Exactly. How did you go about this?
Like I've been saying, we are very focused on making Afro the representation of Africa. Even stemming from the name. Once you hear the name, it gives you a feel of Africa. So we have, like I said, we have a heavy interest from our brothers in the diaspora who really want to connect with Ghana and want to connect with Africa. And so it is just like an easier way to be able to identify Africa with a drink, so that if today you can sit here and mention a tequila that you don't even know where it is produced in Mexico, once you hear tequila, you know it is coming from Mexico. Or once you hear vodka, you know it is something related to Russia. We want Apeteshie to be related to Africa, but not in your usual blue kiosk bottle. Of course, nobody would be ready to try that, but in a very properly distilled, quality assured, infused with the right ingredients, and making it a very good drink and making it easier for anybody to actually drink.
So two things. We'll continue the marketing, but two things. There's Apio and there's palm wine, right? Where is the difference?
So the difference is palm wine is actually Apio is actually fermented palm wine that is distilled.
Okay.
So when you get the palm wine fresh, it's a bit sweet.
Exactly.
So they actually make it ferment and then they distill it into Apio.
Okay. Is the plan for Afro to become like the generic word for our drinks? I'm suspecting that because that's a marketing question I wanted to ask.
Afro's plan is actually to become like a behemoth and be able to, once you enter any African shop or once you enter, currently in the US we are in Total Wines, and in the UK we are in Tesco. Those are very big.
Okay, yeah.
We anticipate that once you are able to enter all of these shops across everywhere in the world, you'll be able to easily pick up a bottle of Afro, which is supposed to be a culturally relevant, especially if you have a leaning towards Africa, or even if you don't have a leaning towards Africa. It is a good drink that you can easily, be interested in.
I'm asking this because, that thing they say that in Ghana every paste is. Every cook is that. Every cooking oil is this.
So in Africa, every drink is Afro.
Yeah, that's a question I'm asking. That is this a deliberate thing that you want to achieve, and all that. So, in terms of marketing, what has been the marketing avenues, or what have been the marketing channels, or what has been the not marketing? In the generality of marketing 7 P's, but let me just pick 1 P, promotional. What promotional mix has Afro Beverages used to get to where it is? Are you buying T-shirts for people and telling them to go and dance on the streets? The one at the sea.
So because it's a premium brand, you can't do a lot of that.
Okay.
One of the things we have been very interested in is experiential marketing. And so last year we had a group of mixologists and people who work at the bar and people who work in ShopRite who are merchandisers for our product. We had them actually experience from our farm to glass process, where they had the opportunity to visit the farms where we source these raw materials.
Oh, wow.
They had opportunities to be at Gihok and see how we blend and see how we actually bottle, so that when they are behind the counter and they are mixing the drink for you, they actually understand the processes that the drink have been through to be able to get to you. And so you have these people using even word of mouth to actually even get people. I know there are many people who come to a bar and they don't even know what they want to drink. And you have these mixologists who are like the front end people who engage with them on a daily basis. And so we have to give them that experience so that they would be the ambassadors of their drink.
Wow, that was expensive, right?
Of course.
Because how many people are you taking? Are you busing them?
Yeah, we bus them to the farms, bus them to Gihok. They had a very good lunch, and they were introduced to our brand manual, what we represent, and all of that at the Kama Conference Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody's doing lots of thinking at Afro Beverages. I'm sure there's a guy who doesn't do anything, he just thinks for the group. Because some of these ideas are. Is it because you trust that word of mouth is the one way to push your brand?
Not necessarily, but the return on, I'm sure you were a marketing person, the return on investment for mass above the line.
Yeah, I get it.
Promotion clearly is not really meeting the mark. And so you have to have more intimate. See, people would organize events, ask you to sponsor, get your money, and you don't even get there. Probably the only thing you're going to get is top of mind awareness from people who would be there and see your logo and say, okay, I know something called Afro and all of that.
Yeah.
But if you want the real results, it's the actual people on the ground, because they are your proper front-end ambassadors. They engage with people almost on a daily basis. And so they are the people who are supposed to experience it and actually become the people who would share the good message with other people.
Okay. Interesting. But would you sponsor a whole week? for
we have
a hall that likes drinking a lot?
We have we have several times. Liman and other halls we have.
I would have thought that, because talking about the people on the ground,
you understand that
that's where they drink.
Our vision is actually supposed to create a drinking culture for people who are just, very adventurous and want to try, so that you carry them along once they are able to meet the price point and all of that in future. They get to the working class and all of that. Fun-loving people, youthful people who would want to associate with the brand.
Talking of branding, talking of creating the next culture, the next generation of responsible drinking. Yeah, I think I've seen that on a number of markets in this, and responsible drinking. Is it something that has it ever been a worry to you that some might abuse your product? And how do you handle something like that?
Of course, once the product gets off the shelf, you don't necessarily get to
you don't control.
And people have got various drinking levels. I might do a bottle, you might do half a bottle, somebody else might do a carton.
DJ Pitway, some might do a carton.
People have various drinking, and so you don't necessarily get to control. But of course, we always encourage you not to drink beyond your limits, not to drink excessively, not to drink and drive, not to drink when you're pregnant and on medications and all of that. It is something that is very evident in all of our communications, on our bottles, on our billboards, and all our above the line, below the line marketing and advertising efforts.
Afro, a triple distilled, that's what it said, a triple distilled premium organic palm spirit from Ghana in West Africa. And I'm reading the first line of their launch in 2023, April 2023, in the UK by Coastline Spirits, in time for summer. And it's available in 2 tantalizing flavors.
With the addition of a new flavor.
Somebody did think, man. Somebody's really thinking there. Still on the branding aspect and the marketing, whose idea was to do this palm spirit and put what? A lion head? What animal is that?
So yes, that's the jata. We call it the jata.
It no be lion.
It be jata.
I told you somebody's thinking, Somebody's out thinking.
That's the jata. That's the Afro jata.
Wow. Is it deliberate to make it look this? It looks like a bold African brand.
And so when you look at the lion head,
yes,
and you look at the head properly, it is actually a combination of spices,
of herbs. I see that.
Herbs that we use in our production.
Okay, so this is where my marketing comms thing comes in. So, listeners, sorry. I mean, if you put a marketing comms person by an exciting brand, I get excited. Was it did the founders sit and say, "This is the look, Mr. Whoever we are outsourcing this job to, go put it together and let's choose," or someone within the group said, "This is what I see. I see a picture of a jata with spices as its main." Because the main is not hair. The main of the jata I'm seeing on your bottle is spices and leaves and greens and all that. Yes. Was it something that came from you, or you gave it to an advertising agency and said, "Listen, impress us"?
So we actually have a very youthful workforce.
Okay.
And people who are just probably right out of school, people who came out right from national service and joined our team. So we have a very creative, a very creative youth force where everybody's idea is, considered and actually brought to bear. So we have a very youthful workforce.
Very youthful. So listeners, the youth of Ghana are not that empty coconut heads, like smart. There are smart ones in here, right? So make use of them. Great guys. One of the things I know about the beverage industry, I haven't, dabbled in it a little, is the big deal about bottles. It's like bottle shape, bottle size, bottle look, and all that. How did Afro Beverages solve this one?
So, rather sad, we currently do not have a production house in Africa that can produce bottles.
You mean glass bottles?
Uh-huh. And even if they want to do, it will be 10 times more expensive. And so the only thing that we import in our production is the glass bottles from China.
Here we go. Glass bottles from China. If you are out there and you believe you know what it takes to do glass bottles, you never know. But I know bottles are a big deal in beverage stuff. So a lot of you would import. So I'm happy that it's been clarified here. Moving on. Marketing in an era of social media and all these newer means of pushing the marketing agenda. How have you taken advantage of what it is now to push your brand?
Okay, so one of the things that we have been very careful about, not only because there's a regulation from FDA, is probably engaging very known figures.
Influencers.
Exactly, in our marketing. And so
it's deliberate.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It is. Apart from Peter of P Square, who is like a shareholder. Of course, yes. And so we have been very deliberate in, like I said earlier, having people actually experience the brand. And so when you go to when you go to Alibar, for instance, which is like one of our biggest selling outlets, we are deliberate about people having an Afro experience. And so you see waiters wearing Afro. We give out free shots of Afro in Alibar, something that we are looking at replicating in other bars. And so it's supposed to make people feel the brand presence. And we are very heavy on social media too. You can check our Instagram following. Very deliberate and creating culturally relevant content that actually relates to our big plan of making Afro the representation of Africa.
What are the potential benefits for local beverage companies to collaborate with international brands or distributors? Is this something Afro is looking at?
Immediately, that is actually our business module.
Okay.
So we do not have an Afro office in, say, Kenya, in Cameroon. We have partners.
How do you come about? Who becomes a partner? Is it
great
a bar there or a distributor of beverages there?
Of course, we have an MOQ, and then we also assess your distribution channels, because that is very important. If you have the capacity and the structure to be able to distribute across the country, we give you that privilege to become a partner. And so if you meet our MOQ, we have a discussion, we sometimes visit the country, get to have proper data, and then you can become a partner, like Coastline Spirits, like Mansa Spirits, like Champagne Wines and Whiskey, like Reeds, who are partners in Kenya, Cameroon, UK, US, and then we work together.
Yeah. I see a very lean and mean structure to ensure that you don't overbloat your overheads. Is that something that was deliberate from the beginning, or as you went along you found that, listen guys, this is the way to go?
No, because if we can sit in Ghana and have a beverage that was produced in the UK and has distributors across the world, which does not even have a physical office or a physical presence in Ghana, why can't we replicate the same thing and also make sure that people who have already the distribution structure, they have it? So why are you going to set up an office in, say, Kenya, whilst you have a distributor who is doing all the work? But of course, when it comes to the registration of for a country like Nigeria, they call it NAFDAC.
I know NAFDAC. I know NAFDAC.
Exactly. And so all of that registration would come from our end, but the distribution and the selling and the wholesaling and the reselling will come from the distributor's end.
Oh, okay. I know NAFDAC. So it's said that trade within Africa is always a challenge. Have you faced that, and how did you overcome that? Because they say moving across here is a problem.
One of the things I've come to appreciate in dealing with a lot of these international markets, especially in Africa, is that the government agencies, GEPA, and recently after, they're doing a very great job making it very easy to trade within ourselves in Africa. So if you are transporting bottles to, let's say, Kenya, you just need to reach out to the Ghana Chamber of Commerce, get a certificate of origin, do your parking list, or if you are flying, get an airway bill, and you'll be able to move. However, the only challenge that I would say is with the differences in duties, and of course, it is more expensive to airlift bottles, and also to be able to ship bottles across. Even West Africa, it is a challenge to be able to transport goods, and it's very expensive to get bottles.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that. So you're producing everything here in Ghana, and you're sending stuff across the continent.
No.
How does it go? By road?
Yeah, no. So for countries like Kenya,
you have to fly them
by air.
But that's expensive.
Yes.
So it means that Afro will get to Kenya and it'll be more expensive relatively compared to maybe Togo or Ghana or something. Exactly. Oh, okay. Interesting discussion.
But we try as much as possible to be able to have a proposed price points across.
Okay.
So if it's $30 that we envisage, so the conversion of $30 in every local market is what we actually advise that distributors should sell.
But it'll be cheaper in Ghana.
Yes, it is. It means that we also have a lot of work to do back here in Ghana to be able to make sure that it makes them comfortable in whichever country or region they want to sell in.
Across Africa, where is the Afro moving quickest?
Of course, Ghana, because it's coming from
Ghana.
from
here, apart from here.
Very amazing potential from Kenya. And then Nigeria picking up fast.
Yeah, I'm told in Nigeria, if you're not careful, they might even start putting their own Afro in the market.
Oh, that's not going to happen because of the uniqueness. Probably if Afro was ethanol based.
Fantastic point. Fantastic point.
But once you taste Afro and then you taste
any other,
ethanol, you would
know that this one,
know the difference.
This one, it no be palm.
No.
Yeah.
You know the palm spirit is so unique that if you're even exporting, and you know they search for the type of drink. The Americans don't even know what is palm spirit. And so the easiest thing you can,
the closest you can get to them,
you can get to is a liqueur.
Okay.
But the palm spirit,
if you tell them it's a moonshine, they don't know what you're talking about.
The palm spirit is a whole different alcoholic brand on its own, unique taste, unique properties that you find anywhere in the world.
It's 20 minutes to the top of the hour. His name is Dennis Atukwefio. He's with Afro Beverages. We're looking at the beverage market in Ghana. And yes, I know someone is saying, how do I know so much about the beverage market? Because I'm a man of God. Hey, why? Man of God doesn't know a beverage market or what? I'm getting your messages. I just wouldn't mind you. Dennis Atukwefio is with Afro Beverages. They have the Afro Palm Spirit. The branding is top notch. How can the government and policymakers support the growth of Ghana's beverage industry through regulatory frameworks, incentives, or maybe infrastructure development?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I would gladly advocate for is probably for tax holidays, and other tax incentives to be able to ease the pressure in producing. And because think about it, if you are buying a potato from a farm, you're going to pay what we call a way bill, involved in a lot of taxes, and now when you're done bundling, you have to, it's a lot of taxes, and especially even if you are exporting, especially to the US, there are a lot of taxes on, and so we.
Oh, rather?
Yes. I
thought it's when you're bringing it so that we add more taxes that becomes punitive.
No, there's a deliberate attempt in the US to make sure that liquor and other, there's a deliberate attempt to, especially when it's not coming from the US and
it's coming from outside.
There's a deliberate way of, getting it. But of course, we would be grateful if the government is more vested, especially in the African make it more easier. I know they are doing a lot of work with the after, making sure that we get involved in trade shows and all that. But a lot more could be done in policy, tax holidays, giving beverage businesses the funding to be able to access machines and equipment that are not. For instance, I made mention of the production of a glass bottle. It will be much easier if, of course,
if there is a glass manufacturing bottle in Ghana.
Makes it easier, and probably will even be more cheaper because you're not paying for shipping, you're not paying for duties and all of that. So most of these things are what we anticipate that the government will partner with the industry to be able to make it more easier.
Yeah, I know there are plans to push the after. I've met with not honorable, he's actually HE, His Excellency Wam Kelemene, the Secretary General of the Continental Free Trade Area. Yes, he has some amazing ideas about what to do to push the agenda. So, what about the role of government in enhancing local consumption vis-a-vis state events and all that? Has that ever come up in a conversation at Afro Beverages?
Yeah, so with the recent JIPC events, the hampers that were handed over to some of the Club 100 award winners were actually Afro hampers.
Oh, wow.
They actually had Afro, exactly.
Wow.
At the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce end of year party last year.
Yeah.
The only cocktail that were served were actually Afro cocktails. And so it's been a very deliberate, to get into the space and be able to introduce the drink to. Interestingly, the diplomatic community in Ghana have a very great interest in the Afro product that the U.S. Embassy, when Kamala Harris was in Ghana, invited us to do just Afro cocktails for their staff party in the U.S. Embassy. So there's a growing interest in trying to promote Afro.
Then probably Afro would have voted for her.
That Trump. I can't say.
Not Trump. Anyway, so it's a quarter to the top of the hour. We're winding down slowly to the end of this today's the Thanksgiving edition, like I prefer to call it, of Business Breakfast on Zare. Local competition. How have you managed to still stand out with all because I can mention like 20 funny names here and there. How have you been able to, find your way through the local competition?
The thing is, Afro,
you have no competition.
It's in its own league. It's not that we don't have competition, but we are in our own league, looking at the kind of products that we are churning out. Palm Spirit, which is already unique, infused with local juices as well, and so it puts you on a certain, in your own level, just like
no one has started copying you blindly, following you, giving you competition. Because appeal is appeal. I want to add to that.
We've seen others, making effort, but the difference is always clear. I mean, the difference is clear on the shelves, off the shelves, and in the numbers.
Why are you a cook with a secret? What do you call it? Recipe.
If we were secret, we would have invited mixologists to come and see for themselves how we are blending and all of that.
Yeah. That is absolutely right. Because we are told that some are formula that only two people know.
No, so if 2 people die,
then the product dies. The formula with only 2 people and all that. Someone tells me that for one of the fast food chains, the herbs
and the sauce is important.
I get it. Only few people know. Yeah. Okay. But you still believe that there is absolutely no way. Fake products are a big deal in the beverage industry. How are you planning to? Because eventually, if you become the number one,
of course, people would.
Yeah, somebody say you become the top.
We have a very heavy quality assurance and quality control policy that if you're a regular consumer of an Afro drink, once you see Afro, you see Afro. And so one of the things we are envisaging would happen if we get to the top and we become number one is that we want the drink to be in such a way that once you even see the cork or the toast cap, you'll be able to tell that this is not from Afro. it is something that we are certainly in introducing in our branding and packaging and all of that. But of course, there are a lot of ways we are also looking at in partnering with other agencies to be able to make sure that once we get any hint of a fake product, we would be able to clamp down on them.
Afro Chill is which one?
So Afro Chill is the ready to drink, the R2D. So
what does that mean? So I thought everything is ready to drink.
No, so
and
so that's a ready to drink cocktail. So
meaning what?
So the base. So for the Afro Chill New Passion, the base is the Afro Nubi Palm Spirit with passion and then other ingredients to actually be able to be a ready to drink cocktail.
Okay, so you mean it is bottled
cocktail?
Did you hear that? If I didn't ask him, you wouldn't know that one. Yeah, it's bottled cocktail ready to drink.
Yeah, that's a bottled cocktail.
So as opposed to going to buy the Afro Nubi, putting
juice or
all of a sudden I see my question got DJ Pete Wade seated up. Yeah, he's interested. So how do you see what potential do you see of the beverage market in the next decade or less?
There's a lot of potential, especially with there's a sudden interest in the beverage.
Yeah, especially with people coming to town and all that. Yeah,
there's a sudden interest, and it amazes me that we have these people been all of this one.
Yeah, yeah.
and I think the quickest thing is that they come and then they set up a factory, employ people in the factory.
There's a big one on this Ibri on the left side. There's a big one on the left side.
It has a lot of potential. Like I was saying, even Afro alone, just from our farm, we estimated that we are engaging about 500 people.
That's a lot,
exactly.
Because that is the direct, and all the 500 have two dependents.
Exactly. And so imagine if we have 10 beverage companies in Ghana, and all of them are doing 500. You can do the math. That is why it is necessary for government to be able to cushion the beverage industry so that it's easier for them to engage more people. Because, of course, the Ghanaian market is so small. And so when you have a very heavy interest in your beverage, and then now when you are doing the export, you just produce in Ghana and export.
Yeah,
that's
like
his
the
jobs,
factory.
exactly. Just producing and selling, because you don't really have a very heavy drinking culture in Ghana. You are looking at a market like Nigeria, exporting to Nigeria, and it's a big typical example was when something like in Kateboga.
Yeah.
In Kateboga became a big thing in Nigeria. And then that was a very heavy market.
In Ghana,
exactly.
DJ Pitwade is, I think, the number one consumer because he's always in Trotro and he doesn't eat well, so he's always chewing Kateboga. Do you get worried at Afro Beverages that you are going natural, organic, raw, but we have a beverage market where the number one concern is, the lack of organicness and chemicals and colors and leading to obesity and all the challenges that come. You have a product that doesn't have ingredients that will go in that direction, but you are within a bigger market where people think beverage like, oh, color. These days our children are drinking color. They are making Does it ever worry you that or that actually inspires you to actually stand out the more?
So, like I'll say, that is one of the things that actually fuels us to be able to. And so we become very worried when people do not have the capacity to actually produce these, raw juices.
The raw ones.
Exactly. Because
then they are pushing.
Exactly. Our business is dependent on that. And so one of our long-term goals is to be able to support farmers and be able to get them to expand their farms. And Ghana has a very funny land tenure system. And expand their farms so that they are able to produce more, and we have a lot of organic stuff sitting in there that we can use for our production. It is one of the things that we really want to see happen, that when you're looking for passion fruit juice, they won't tell you it is out of season.
Yeah.
So you have to probably postpone your production.
And when they do that, what do you do? I mean, Because you still need passion to do your stuff. I mean,
Ghana is a bit big. So if you don't find it in Central, you might find it in Northern. But just that you might not get all the quantity you are looking for at one.
Then that delays production and all that.
Exactly, makes it more expensive too. It means that you are buying from different suppliers at different prices because it's out of season. Everybody just wants to overprice, and so
as we open up the country to bigger players coming in, vis-a-vis continental free trade area, the opportunities for us to then go out there and beat others in their own market.
But others also.
Thank you very much. That's my question. How well do you see the players in your industry ready for what the onslaught that might come in?
Standards. If we do not elevate our standards, and we have big players coming from countries like South Africa, who have done this for centuries, we might be in deep trouble. And so we must not just say, because you are selling in Ghana, it doesn't matter if the label is, we must be very deliberate about it. And that at Afro Beverages is something that we are very keen on, because our expectation is that this drink should be able to meet quality standards everywhere across the world. And so we must be deliberate about elevating our quality assurance level and making sure that our drink meets international specifications, so that when these big players come into play, we will be able to rub shoulders with them.
Okay, I mean that gives me a lot of hope. December, year of return. December in GH. The last time I checked, I think the Ghana Tourism Authority had said more than 90-something events had been registered to take place this year. What plans? What are the plans for Afro Beverages in the lead up to the end of this year?
Our calendar is quite tight for December.
Oh wow!
Yes, being at the relevant events, and we usually have a cocktail stand we do for big events, and so your Dirty Wave, Beam concert, and all of those big concerts, your dinners will be there. So once you see us at any of your events with the Jata on our bar, you might want to.
It's not a lion, it's Jata.
It's Jata.
It's not a lion. It's not it's Jata.
So our calendar for December very deliberate. We are pushing through our outlets and through our key distributors as well to be able to get our drinks on ground for people to taste and have a good Christmas. We are also available to hampers. We usually do hampers for corporate institutions and all of that with Afro and all of that. So,
wow.
Yeah, to cheer up your Christmas.
Cheer up your Christmas. Contact Afro Beverages. His name is Dennis Atukefio. He's from Afro Beverages. All too soon, the time is up. Yes, somebody said, how are you able to maintain these conversations? And the time goes quicker. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun and when the conversation is exciting. Dennis Atukefio, thank you so much for coming through Z Multimedia this morning. It's a privilege to have you. It's been a great conversation. We've learned a lot, and I'm sure my listeners have picked up some business lessons, which is why we do what we do every single time. Any final words?
Yes, so the Ghanaian beverage industry is obviously growing. We would ask that consumers are more enlightened to be able to tell and be able to keep the beverage industry on its toes, so that it is easier for us to meet the international standards, easier for us to export, easier for us to probably even be the number one in Africa. Even though we are a small market, our hope is in being an export-driven.
Okay.
Just like South Africa, people visit South Africa just because of wines, and
it's true.
We anticipate that people will visit Ghana just because of Afro and just because of Apetashi, and to know the cultural relevance and the story and the heritage behind all of that. So we would encourage the support for locally produced beverages like Afro. We would encourage that we go out to actually buy them, support these businesses, so that we keep them afloat and keep their families that actually depend on this business directly and indirectly to be able to have a very sustainable, life. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dennis. All too soon, listeners, time is up. Coming up at 10 a.m. and beyond is NYA The Brand all the way to 1 p.m. She's bringing you Mid-Morning's Finest. And what else can we say? It's been a Thanksgiving edition